Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. A topic that's been on my mind lately is card advantage. Not just types of card advantage, but how much you want depending on the deck you're running. So rather than having a specific deck list, today's video will be a discussion on how card advantage affects your deck and your card choices. We'll also be discussing options and different types of card advantage. Also, and I know it's annoying to keep hearing this, but statistically if I don't ask you to like and subscribe, the video gets fewer subscribers. The card that brought this whole concept to mind was Azusa Lost But Seeking. I love Azusa. I think she's a great Magic card. I also think she's a trap card. I believe a lot of players, especially players who are new to the game, underestimate exactly how much card draw they need in order to fully utilize Azusa. Let's do the math on this, shall we? Let's assume that you're running 37 lands in a 100 card commander deck. That's 37%. So each turn you have a 37% chance of drawing a land, which means you'll be playing one land about every 3 turns without additional card advantage. But Azusa lets us play a total of 3 lands per turn. So how many cards do we need to draw each turn to fully utilize Azusa? You know what, let's break out the hypergeometric calculator real quick. If we draw 7 cards per turn, we have a 96% chance of drawing at least 1 land, and a 51.6% chance of drawing 3 or more. So if your ramp plan is to play extra lands per turn and fully utilize Azusa, you'll need to keep that in mind when putting together your card advantage package. The biggest thing I want to talk about though is just advancing your board state. Ideally, you want to play a land, cast a spell to advance your board state, and then keep some mana open for interaction. That's 3 cards, 4 if you ramp a little bit. Which means that ideally, you'll be drawing 3 to 4 cards every turn. But most commander decks aren't meant to do that. So how do we accomplish this? Well, there are several different options. Let's discuss a few of them. Consistent card draw means drawing extra cards every turn. There are several ways to accomplish this. One option is Howling Mine effects. Yes, these allow everyone to draw extra cards, and everyone assumes you only run these in group hug decks, or Nekusar Osiris. Sometimes you benefit from your opponents drawing cards. Even outside those circumstances, playing cards like this can be political. You show your opponents that you're not a threat. You're playing a friendly deck. Don't worry about what I'm doing, I want everyone to have a good time. Your deck is more political in nature. Then there are cards like Phyrexian Arena that draw us an extra card for a price, or Kumena's Awakening if the correct circumstances are met. The One Ring is another example of this effect, but far more powerful. Personally, I consider a card like Liliana of the Dark Realms or Koth Fire of Resistance to be in this category as well. Sure, you're only searching for a land, not putting it onto the battlefield, but that is still increasing the number of cards in your hand, which is a form of card draw. Now, some players dislike consistent card draw. I've had people question me about it constantly. Why are you running Phyrexian Arena in your Kaalia deck, Danon? Because more cards is always better. Now, these may not be the solution for every deck. In fact, with higher powered decks, you probably want your deck to be more explosive. But maybe not. Maybe you're running a Bracket 4 Prison deck that locks down the game, and you have to be sure you have enough interaction to stop your opponents from playing the game. Be sure to at least consider a consistent card draw when you're building your decks. Many decks use their graveyard as a second hand. This is why cards like Underworld Breach are on the Game Changers list. Reanimating a huge threat is almost always cheaper than casting it. And there are cards that allow you to recast spells from your graveyard, essentially doubling their effect. Whether or not reanimation is a key focus in your deck, having the ability to recast spells is always great. Quick aside, my favorite form of ramp combines cards like Azusa Lost But Seeking, Crucible of Worlds, and fetch lands. Having the ability to fetch out 3 lands per turn is not to be underestimated. But that's veering more towards a discussion about ramp than card advantage. I figured I'd just point it out because we opened this video talking about Azusa. Cantrips are where things start to get a little complicated. According to many creators, and basic math, cantrips are not card advantage. Cantrips replace themselves. Oftentimes they have an additional effect, but many of them just say draw 2, discard 2. That isn't card draw, that is card filtering, which can be advantageous if you have a reanimation deck. Filtering through your library and filling your graveyard is card advantage. But for most decks, simply casting a spell like Opt is pointless. I say most, but not all. Take Talrand's Sky Summoner, for example. Every cantrip we cast not only replaces itself, allowing us to dig for more cards, it also creates a 2/2 Flying Drake token. Generally, I don't like including cantrips in my deck unless there is a secondary advantage. Creating token creatures, dealing extra damage, pumping my team, all of these decks crave cantrips because they empower the deck, allowing it to run smoother. Now, the more cantrips your deck has, the lighter on lands you can go. As a baseline, for every 2 cantrips your deck runs, you can cut 1 land. I generally don't recommend going below 32 lands, but that means you can fit extra cantrips in the deck. It means more room for shenanigans. This is what most people think of when they hear the word card advantage. Siphon Mind, Stroke of Genius, Harmonize, cards that not only replace themselves, they put you up on card count. Cards like these are great when you're down on cards and you need to refill your hand. The problem with them is that, not counting the X spells, you're often paying 3 or 4 mana for just 2 cards. But even with the X spells, a lot of them have a base cost of 3. So you have to pay 4 mana to just draw 1 card. Ensure your mana base can handle casting a big 8 mana spell by turn 5, otherwise you might not be able to fully take advantage of these spells. One of the most efficient ways to draw a ton of cards is wheel effects. The original Wheel of Fortune is only 3 mana, and a lot more are no more than 5 mana. 7 cards for 4 or 5 mana is a great deal, even if it helps your opponents. That being said, it may hurt your opponents. Ask Cutestuff, who has watched me cast 2 Tutors and then pass the turn, only to have her wheel away my hand.
Now, as far as I can tell, there are 2 kinds of wheels.
The first kind discards your hand and draws you new cards. Most of these are red, but there is that one infamous black one that everyone hates. The advantage to these is that you fill your graveyard. The disadvantage is that you fill your opponent's graveyard at the same time. So if your opponent is playing Kess and you cast Wheel of Misfortune, they're gonna love you. The other kind of wheels are known as shuffle wheels. Rather than tossing your hand into the graveyard, everyone shuffles their hand and graveyard back into their library, and then draws a new one. These are the kinds of wheels that graveyard decks hate to see. They spent all that time filling their graveyard with toys they can play with in the future, and you just ruined it for them. This is why I include Commit Memory in a lot of decks as a piece of graveyard hate. It may not be the cheapest to cast, but it is the most budget shuffle wheel. It can also get around uncounterable threats, so it's worth running in most decks that can use it. Many people say that tutors are not a form of card advantage. I disagree. You're trading 1 card for a solution to your problem. If magic is math, then tutors let you cheat by finding X for you. Whether the problem you're solving is how do I get rid of this annoying permanent, or how can I win the game right now, tutors help you out. They are powerful enough that most of the good ones are on the Game Changers list. There are cards that longtime viewers will see me put into the card advantage section that don't actually draw cards, but they do help us draw more cards. The best example I can think of is Teferi's Ageless Insight. This enchantment draws no cards, but all of a sudden Opt says scry 1, draw 2. Faithless Looting says draw 4, discard 2. Brainstorm says draw 6, then put 2 cards on top of your library. And Peer into the Abyss says deck yourself. Okay, so you might not want to run those 2 together. Now, this enchantment isn't the only card in this category. A card like Elegith Crossroads Augur doesn't draw cards by himself either, but with him in the command zone, all of your scry effects become draw effects. This would obviously have an effect on what cards you have in your card advantage package. Serum Visions all of a sudden becomes Ancestral Recall, which is always nice. There are obviously several types of card advantage, and not every deck runs all of them. Some archetypes want more of one, and none of some. But it is important to be aware of them, and at least keep them in mind when building a new deck. After all, the only time a commander deck is truly complete is right before you tear it apart and build something else. What are your thoughts on card advantage? What kind do you normally run in your decks? Did I miss any? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits at gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. You can have a video made or just ask for help building or tuning a deck list. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Drya, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alex, Conga, Robert Pye, Kazaris, Patrick, Tiz, Art, Richard, Boomy, Oscar, Justin, Golden Walker, Captain Hammer, Sleech, Mr. Salty, Daniel Zombie, and Black Dragon. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander deck videos every weekday, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.